The Tokugawa shogunate, or Edo period, had ruled Japan for over 2.5 centuries. This era, beginning in 1603, was marked by peace and stability. It was a time of strict social order, with the samurai class at the top. However, by the mid-19th century, the shogunate's grip on power was weakening. Economic troubles and social unrest were on the rise. The once unthinkable, challenging the shogun's authority, was becoming a reality. Japan, long isolated from the world, was about to face a new era. The old ways were fading, and the future remained uncertain. The samurai, once the undisputed warriors of Japan, found their traditional roles changing. With the long peace, their swordsmanship was less in demand. Many were turning to bureaucratic roles within their domains. This shift in status was unsettling for many samurai. They felt their place in society, their very identity, slipping away. The stage was set for a clash of old and new, tradition and progress. The winds of change were blowing, and Japan would never be the same. For centuries, the samurai stood as the elite warrior class of Japan. Bound by the Bushido code, they valued honor, loyalty, and martial prowess. Their swords, the katana and wakizashi, were symbols of their status. During the Edo period, samurai enjoyed privileges denied to other classes. They were exempt from taxes and held the exclusive right to bear arms. Their lives were dedicated to serving their daimyo lords. The long peace of the Edo period brought a gradual shift in the samurai's role. With no major wars, their military skills became less relevant. Many transitioned into administrative positions, managing finances and overseeing agriculture. While some adapted, others felt a sense of displacement. The samurai, once warriors, were becoming bureaucrats. This shift in identity would have profound consequences. The seeds of discontent were sown, waiting to sprout. In 1853, the arrival of Commodore Matthew Perry and his American warships shattered Japan's centuries of isolation. The Black Ships, as they were known, arrived in Tokyo Bay, their steam engines and cannons a stark display of Western technological might. Perry carried a letter from President Millard Fillmore demanding that Japan open its ports to trade and diplomacy. The shogunate, caught off guard and unprepared for such a confrontation, was forced to comply. The signing of the Treaty of Kanagawa in 1854 marked a turning point in Japanese history. It granted trading rights to the United States and other Western powers, ending Japan's self-imposed seclusion. This event sent shockwaves through Japanese society. The once inviolable image of the shogunate was tarnished, seen as weak in the face of foreign pressure. The arrival of the Black Ships exposed Japan's vulnerability and ignited a national debate. Should Japan resist the West or embrace modernization? The answer to this question would shape the destiny of the nation. The forced opening of Japan ignited political upheaval. The Tokugawa shogunate, once seen as invincible, was now perceived as weak. Opposition movements, fueled by nationalist sentiment, gained momentum. In 1868, the Tokugawa shogunate was overthrown. The Meiji Restoration marked the beginning of a new era for Japan. The young Emperor Meiji ascended to the throne. The new government embarked on rapid modernization. Section 5. The discontent of the samurai. The Meiji Restoration brought profound changes that unsettled many samurai. The abolition of their feudal privileges struck at the heart of their identity. Many felt adrift, their traditional role rendered obsolete. The transition to a modern conscripted army was difficult to stomach. They saw it as a betrayal of their heritage. In the Satsuma domain, discontent ran particularly high. Many were suspicious of the new government's intentions. Private academies sprang up, fostering samurai pride and resentment. The stage was set for a clash between the old and the new. Section 6. Saigo Takamori, the reluctant rebel. Among the disaffected samurai of Satsuma, Saigo Takamori stood as a towering figure. A skilled warrior and charismatic leader, Saigo had played a pivotal role in the Meiji Restoration. He had commanded samurai forces loyal to the emperor, helping to topple the Tokugawa shogunate. Paradoxically, the very revolution he helped to ignite would ultimately lead him to rebel against the new government he helped establish. Saigo was deeply troubled by the rapid modernization of Japan and the erosion of traditional values. He believed that the samurai code of honor and loyalty was being cast aside in the pursuit of Western ways. Despite his reservations, he initially served the Meiji government, hoping to influence its course from within. However, Saigo's growing disillusionment with the government's policies, particularly its decision to abolish the samurai class, pushed him towards a path of resistance. He became a reluctant rebel, a symbol of the samurai's struggle to find their place in a rapidly changing world. Section 7. The Satsuma Rebellion begins. The simmering discontent among the Satsuma samurai finally boiled over in 1877. Triggered by a government decree disarming the samurai and confiscating their weapons, a rebellion erupted in Kagoshima, the capital of the Satsuma domain. Saigo Takamori, despite his initial reluctance, felt compelled to lead his former comrades in arms. He knew the odds were stacked against them, but he could not stand by and watch as the samurai way of life was extinguished. The Satsuma rebellion was not a spontaneous uprising. It was a carefully planned campaign, with Saigo and his lieutenants strategizing for months. They established supply lines, gathered weapons, and trained their men in modern military tactics. Their goal was not to overthrow the emperor, but to force the Meiji government to reconsider its policies and acknowledge the sacrifices of the samurai. They marched north, determined to make their stand against the forces of modernization. Section 8. The Battle of Tabaruzaka. The Satsuma rebellion, though fueled by the samurai's warrior spirit, was ultimately a clash between two different military philosophies. The samurai, armed with their traditional swords and muskets, faced a modern, conscripted army equipped with advanced weaponry. The Battle of Tabaruzaka, one of the bloodiest engagements of the rebellion, exemplified this disparity. The Imperial Japanese Army, led by General Yamagata Aritomo, a key figure in the Meiji government's military reforms, was determined to crush the rebellion swiftly and decisively. They employed modern tactics learned from Western military advisors, utilizing artillery, Gatling guns, and breech-loading rifles to devastating effect. The samurai, despite their fierce charges and unwavering courage, were cut down in droves. Their traditional tactics, honed over centuries of warfare, proved ineffective against the firepower of the Imperial Army. Section 9. The Last Stand at Shiroyama. After months of fierce fighting and heavy losses, the Satsuma rebellion reached its tragic climax at the Battle of Shiroyama. Pushed back to their last stronghold, a hilltop fortress near Kagoshima, Saigo and his remaining followers prepared for their final stand. Outnumbered and outgunned, they knew defeat was inevitable. Yet they fought with the courage and tenacity that had defined the samurai for generations. On September 24, 1877, the Imperial Army launched a massive assault on Shiroyama. The samurai, their ranks dwindled to a few hundred, fought with desperate bravery, their swords flashing in the morning light. Saigo, already wounded, led a final doomed charge against the enemy lines. He fell, mortally wounded, his dream of preserving the samurai way of life shattered. With their leader gone, the remaining samurai fought to the death, their defiant cries echoing across the battlefield. The Satsuma rebellion was over. Section 10. Legacy of the Samurai Spirit. The Satsuma rebellion, though a military defeat for the samurai, had a profound and lasting impact on Japanese society. It marked the end of an era, the final chapter in the long and storied history of the samurai class. The rebellion also served as a poignant reminder of the social and cultural upheavals that accompanied Japan's rapid modernization. Saigo Takamori, despite his rebellion against the Meiji government, became a tragic hero, a symbol of samurai honor and loyalty. He was remembered for his courage, his devotion to his principles, and his tragic fate. The Satsuma Rebellion, though a failure in a military sense, helped to shape the national identity of modern Japan. It highlighted the samurai virtues of courage, self-sacrifice, and unwavering loyalty, values that resonated with the Japanese people. The rebellion also served as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the importance of balancing tradition and progress as Japan navigated its place in the modern world.